Hello and welcome to Arnie's Short Stories. I hope you enjoy this story. I'm going to try and upload a new story each day. The Poltergeist of Wroxall Manor. Holly Arnold hadn't intended to spend her weekend unraveling a mystery, but fate had other plans. The Isle of Wight's reputation for ancient legends and haunted locales had always intrigued her, but Wroxall Manor, tucked away behind a dense forest and shielded by centuries of rumours, was a curiosity she hadn't yet explored. The manor loomed as she approached, its Gothic facade weathered by time. Twisted ivy strangled the stone walls, and the windows glimmered ominously under a pale crescent moon. Holly's breath caught as she stepped onto the cobbled pathway, her footsteps echoing louder than they should in the still night. She'd heard the tales of Poltergeist with a vendetta, objects flung across rooms, chilling whispers in the dead of night. Yet curiosity tugged at her more fiercely than fear. Inside, the air was stale, heavy with the scent of decayed wood and mildew. Dust motes swelled in the beam of her flashlight as she navigated the grand entryway. A chandelier hung precariously above, its crystals clinking faintly despite the absence of a breeze. Holly's footsteps seemed to awaken the house, as though her presence stirred dormant energies. A loud crash echoed from the parlour to her left. She froze, the flashlight trembling in her grip. Summoning her courage, she followed the noise. The parlour was a scene of chaos, books flung from their shelves, an armchair toppled, and the once grand fireplace filled with shattered glass. The air was thick with an unnatural chill, making her shiver despite her jacket. Holly called, her voice firm despite the tremor in her hands. Silence answered, but not for long. A guttural growl rose from the shadows, low and menacing. Then, laughter, a child's, sweet and unnerving, echoed through the room, growing louder until it seemed to surround her. Holly's heart raced. "I mean no harm," she said. The air grew colder, and her breath fogged before her. An old rocking chair in the corner began to sway on its own, creaking with each oscillation. Holly stepped back, nearly tripping over a fallen book. She picked it up instinctively, a dusty journal with brittle pages. Scrawled across the cover in faded ink were the words, "Mary Wroxall, 1823. Holly opened the journal, her fingers trembling. The entries detailed Mary's life, a young woman full of hope and love, betrothed to a man named Thomas. But as the pages turned, the tone darkened. Accusations of betrayal, whispers of an affair, and finally, Mary's untimely death, a fall from the very chandelier in the entryway. The last entry was smeared, the ink trailing off as though the writer had been interrupted. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind her. Holly spun around, the flashlight beam cutting through the darkness. "May," she said. The journal flew from her hands, landing open on the floor. The chandelier in the entryway began to swing violently, its crystals scattering refracted light like shards of broken rainbows. Holly could hear the faint sound of sobbing, distant yet close enough to prickle her skin. The sobbing morphed into a wail, piercing and filled with anguish. "You don't have to stay here," Holly said. "Whatever happened to you?" The sobbing ceased. For a moment the house was still. Then an icy wind whipped through the room, extinguishing Holly's flashlight. She stood in darkness, her breath shallow. A whisper brushed against her ear. The journal burst into flames, the fire spreading unnaturally fast across the floor. Holly stumbled back, her mind racing. She needed to get out. The poltergeist wasn't just angry, it was vengeful. She sprinted toward the door, but it refused to budge. Behind her, the rocking chair slammed into the wall, splintering into pieces. "Thomas betrayed me," a voice hissed. "They all did, and now." Holly's fingers fumbled for her phone, its weak light her last hope. She shone it toward the journal's remains, catching a glimpse of an inscription burned into the floor, "Set me free." Holly screamed. She was desperate now, her mind racing through possibilities. The walls seemed to pulse, shadows slithering across their surfaces like living creatures. She could feel the house's anger, a suffocating presence pressing down on her. In response, the flames formed a pattern, pointing toward a portrait hanging crookedly above the mantel. It depicted a woman with sorrowful eyes, Mary. Holly ripped it down, revealing a hidden compartment. Inside was a rusted locket, its chain broken. Holly opened it to find a lock of hair and a tiny note: "Forever yours, Thomas." "He lied to you," Holly said. "Ah." The room quaked. The chandelier crashed to the floor, narrowly missing Holly. A piercing scream erupted, and then silence. The air warmed, the oppressive weight lifting. The locket crumbled to dust in Holly's hand. The door creaked open, and moonlight spilled into the room. Holly stumbled out, gasping for air. She turned back to the manor, now eerily quiet. For a moment she thought she saw Mary standing in the doorway, her expression no longer twisted in anger, but soft with gratitude. Mary Wroxall was finally at peace, but Holly knew she'd never forget the poltergeist of Wroxall Manor. As she walked away, the wind whispered through the trees, carrying a faint voice that said, "Thank you. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this story. Please don't forget to like, and even better, like and subscribe. Thank you very much, and I hope you have had or have a great day."